We're back. The pulse is still beating. Episode 9. Derek and I are both back from Istanbul, actually. So we got new knowledge, stories to tell, and a lot of good stuff happening on the subreddit. Again, with the pulse, we look at the Reddit community, what's going on there. It's basically a giant forum where people can post whatever they want. And if you like it, you hit the upvote button. If you don't like it, you hit the downvote button. And we look at the more upvoted ones, as well as some questions about training and things like that. So we get into the weeds under the hood as well. And of course, it's hosted by myself, Ryan Turner, and the lovely Derek Smith. Derek, how you doing?
Oh, thank you for calling me lovely, man. That's not
Yeah,
one I hear a lot, you know. But you're right. I am quite lovely, so I can't be too mad at you for saying it.
Yeah.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I am back to training well, you know, living the arm wrestling life. I had a crazy practice yesterday. Larry Wheels is there. Leroy Walker moved to Southern California. He's going to be on my team now. You know, the bench press, strict curl guy.
Yep.
And he's been arm wrestling for a couple of years, so he's joining up, man. Mega Mike was there. We finally got to see Mega Mike and Larry Wheels go at it right-handed, which is something everybody's been waiting to see in California because that hasn't happened yet. So anyway, that was yesterday. I had a great practice, and I'm feeling good, man. I am getting back into the swing of things. Excited for, announced a lot of people know I have a match coming up on East vs. West 9, so I'm getting ready for that, training my butt off, and excited to be back in the process and get back on YouTube as well, and get back into our shows. You know, we took a little bit of a break, so it's good to be back.
Yeah, we need a road to 500 update, man. Also, the footage from that practice, is that going to be on Larry's thing? I didn't see it on your channel.
Yeah, Larry had the whole camera. He set up the whole thing, so he should have all of it debuting probably in a couple days.
Nice. Well, quick shout out. What's going on, Hook Roller? Good to see you. Gabriel Young, Mike McIntyre. What's going on, guys? Good to see you in here. All right, should we get into the meat of things? So we are looking at the most upvoted posts in the past week. So we sorted by the past week, although we should really do the past 2 weeks. And we're going to see what the community is up to, and then we'll go into some of the more training-related questions, which don't get as many upvotes as a Devin meme. So, yeah, the most upvoted post for the past week was this clip, Devin and Gennady, if you couldn't tell from the top of their heads. And it's titled "What in the False Start" by user KeyFeature9038. Now watch the start here. You're going to see Gennady shoot in a few tenths of a second before the go and completely win the center, pretty much uncontested. And oh man, I don't know how deep we want to go into the Devin Gennady drama, but my goodness. I'll just give my 2 cents real quick. They both got advantages. They were both cheating their ass off. Who cheated more? Who got more of an advantage? I mean, I don't know. It seemed pretty even. What do you think? Was someone gaming the system more than the other, Derek?
I think they're equally experienced arm wrestlers. They both know what they want in the setup. They're both trying to get everything they can. I think that with Devin's very specific strengths he has on the table, it forces him into certain situations where, like center table, we're talking like elbow in front of you in a conventional arm wrestling sense. Devin, that's not Devin's strongest spot by any means. That's a ton of chest and pec and shoulder. And so when Gennady, who's leading with the shoulder and getting ready to press, starts loading up center table like this, Devin hasn't trained that strength. So in order for Devin to try to even combat center table strength, like in the setup when they're still setting up, he has to get his shoulder behind it. I mean, with his strengths, if he actually wants to counter Gennady or apply equal pressure, Devin has to have his shoulder behind to start pressing, like just to even counter Gennady. So for Devin to try to get his shoulder behind him more often makes sense. I'm not saying it's right. It makes sense, right, given his strengths. Devin's either all in with the shoulder or all out with the King's move. The King's move wasn't being an option, so you see the shoulder going forward. But also Gennady is going forward with his shoulder as well, trying to get that press off. In the rules meeting, I got a chance to sit and talk to Devin. It was like the only time I got to talk to him basically the whole event. And I asked him, I said, at every single match you have, there's this one underlying issue you always harp on, right? Like with Prunick, it was like, you know, elbow down, elbow down, elbow down. That was his run rule he wanted to focus on. There's always this one thing he's trying to focus on. And so I asked him what his one thing for Gennady was. And he actually said to me, he said, false starts, false starts, false starts, false starts, false start. That was the main thing that he was worried about. So, I mean, and this kind of shows why. This kind of shows what he was worried would happen, because seeing Gennady's training video and all the pulleys and slamming sideways as hard as he can, he was worried about the false starts and Gennady getting that shoulder behind him before he was able to counter it, you know, and get deep. So this kind of was Devin's worst nightmare in terms of what he was worried about going into it.
Yeah, I don't think that was the only round it happened either. Jody was actually wearing a shirt that said elbow down. So,
right.
Yeah, man, the reffing. So they're adding you probably saw, they're adding a ref from the West now to balance things out, if you want to say that, or at least less perceived bias in the East's favor.
Mhm.
But again, there's plenty of rounds where Devin's shoulder was completely committed and not square at all. Rounds where Gennady was false starting. So, and I know the refs are like, listen, we're not going to call small things that don't give you an advantage here or there. But I do think the starts need to be strict as hell. If there's one place where I'm totally fine with you being a complete hard ass, it's the start of the match. Then we can get into a little bit of wiggle room and ref discretion, but I do think the starts need to be strictly enforced.
Right.
Or you end up in the situation we have now where like, oh, this guy would have won, that guy would have won, and now we have to do a rematch, which I'm not complaining about, but it is what it is. Next post is by Bess Glazard, and Dave and Austin Jaggers got together, and look what Dave is training for. He's got a match coming up, of course, against Devin Larratt, June 24th at King of the Table. And this might be a little indicator of what he's expecting from Mr. Larratt.
Interesting.
Yeah, you didn't have to deal with this, fortunately.
It's just, it makes me wonder, like, not to discredit Austin, but how is Dave really losing his wrist, or is he trying to practice with his wrist bent back? I kind of wonder if he's like being okay transitioning to that to get ready for that against Devin. Yeah. But then again, obviously, I'm going to be watching Austin and wondering Austin's level due to our history. But I mean, yeah, I hopefully Dave's getting more comfortable with this press setup and powering through things. I mean, honestly, though, if he can't make Austin stand up here, this does worry me, because I imagine Devin's King's move would be a little more tight than Austin's. But Austin's also fouling in that situation because he's competing shoulders down in a losing position.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's good that Dave's getting more comfortable in this movement. For sure. I mean, that's undeniable that if he's getting more comfortable transitioning to a press, that's going to help Dave. That's something he needs for sure. So
yeah, if we look at the first couple frames, this looks like classic Chafee, bunch of side pressure, bunch of hand, and it looks like he does just lose his wrist there. If you see like the first few frames, it just like cracks slowly. So I want to say that was a legitimate take by Austin there. And then Dave commits to that. But it's practice. I don't know what the hell happened before this. Maybe they were just doing King of the Table, and this is the 8th match that, no pun intended, that Chafee had to go through. True. So don't read too much into it. But yeah, I think it seemed like he was giving his all there, which is interesting. I mean, not that Austin Jaggers is some slouch, and we can read into this, but just interesting to see some behind the scenes. Carolyn Looms, thank you. Joining as a member. Appreciate it. Supports the channel, supports the podcast. Thank you so much. And comes in with a super chat saying, thank God for Luke Poulter. Yeah, that is the ref coming in for the West. So it's something. We still haven't had an event in the West, which Engen has been teasing that it's obviously on his mind. It's one of the most requested things he gets is, can we have an East versus West in the West? But the first step is to get a Western referee there, and we're doing it. We are doing it. So that's exciting to see. And we'll hopefully get rid of some of the accusations of bias. Probably not, but we can hope. So thank you, Carolyn, for supporting the show. Love to see it. All right, we have a post from Complex Brush 4044 doing a 60 kilogram strict curl at 60 kilogram body weight. So he is strict curling his body weight here. And yeah, strict, very strict curls. So if you want to do a strict curl, you got to keep your butt, shoulders, and head on the wall, and up he goes. Derek, is this part of your routine?
No, I don't have blue shoes like that, and I usually wear shorts. So it's a little different than mine. No, I don't really do strict curls. I do a million other curls, but I don't. There's not really a spot in my gym where I can put my back against the wall. There's kind of a bunch of mirrors and dumbbell racks everywhere. It's just not something that I do a lot. I mean, I've done it I've done it one time at Michael Todd's house on that video. That's the only time I've ever strict curled. Attempted to strict curl.
What weight did you get up?
210.
210. Okay, and you weigh more than that, so this guy is stronger than you, is what you're getting at?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, just want to make that clear. Yeah, impressive lift. Good job, Complex. Thanks for sharing that with us. So there we go. Devin meme time. Devin in the heavyweights versus Devin in the supers. I mean, where's the lie? I'm so
okay, first off, yes, he might be like the ultra, final boss when it comes to heavyweight, but he's still up there in top 10 in supers. So it's not like he's some slouch in super heavyweights. Just maybe not top 3 or top 2, but come on, it's embellishing it a little bit.
Yeah. Don't bring your weak memes around Devin or Derek, guys. Come on. So I mean, it is interesting. his stature in the heavyweight division compared to the supers. He's so dominant. It just
Right.
goes to show the level you go up when you break into that super class, man. There's almost no one who can really challenge him in the heavies, and then there's plenty of people in the supers, so it really is a step up.
I do want to see Angarbayev, though. I do want to see Angarbayev and Devin in heavyweight.
I thought that was like a joke, but I think apparently Angarbayev's like serious. He wants that match at 105, though, right? He wants Devin to cut down.
I'd love to see that.
I would love to see that, but would Angarbayev be willing to go up to 110, or is he or at 115, or is he insisting 105?
Yeah, don't just meet like 110, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Super interesting to see, although I think Devin would be a strong favorite, in my opinion. Dylan Burns losing his SH in the 154-pound round robin. So they had that like invitational round robin with the 154-pound guys, and Dylan on the left gets beat. They're taking the strap off, and then he is unhappy, and we almost have a situation, but it gets calmed down.
What I rewatched this a couple times. I was trying to listen. I can't understand what happened. So like he pins him. He's hyped, but they shake hands, and they're taking the strap off, and something in the way they're taking the strap off just sets him off. I don't know. I don't understand why the freak out. I don't understand why.
Let's check it out one more time here.
Does he must say something to him, right? He says something, right? Or yeah, what? Did it just realize that he lost or something? Like in that second, I don't understand what sets him off.
So I don't think it's that. I watched it a couple times too. I think it's right. It's like right after this freeze frame here, you're gonna see he kind of pulls his arm around a little bit and shakes him like right there, and he's like, "What the hell, Dylan?" and then gets pissed off. So I think, you know how some people when they win a match and they're strapped with the person, they start flailing around, and it's super dangerous, super disrespectful, and it's like now you lost the match and your arm's getting yanked around. So I think it was that angle. He didn't like the way the strap was being taken off. Obviously tensions are high, so I think that's what happened. But either way, all's well that ends well. Did you see this? Morozov signing the contract with blood.
I haven't watched the video. I saw like a freeze frame of blood on the paper, and they say he signed. Does he actually pokes himself? And
there he goes. So yeah, he's
such a weirdo. He's such a weirdo. That is funny. I wish he spoke clear English so he could have more jokes.
I know, dude. He's a riot, man. Being around him, he's like always making funny faces and doing funny things behind people. He's got a lot of personality. So yeah, there it is. That's how you know he's serious. I don't know which contract this was for though. I was trying to figure it out. Is this King of the Table or is this East vs West?
That's East vs West, right? Wait, is that? Oh wait, it's a contract. You don't sign contracts East vs West.
I think you do like on the day. I don't know because yeah, he's doing Corey West and he's got Levon. So I don't know which one.
It would make more sense if it's the Corey West one.
Yeah, it must be. Speaking of, what do you think of that match?
Corey West and Morozov? Man, Corey has a big hill to climb there.
Yeah.
I mean, with Morozov, even with David Dadakayan, who I think is maybe this, I've said a bunch of times, the strongest left-handed hook puller in the world, I think, in a hook. And Morozov was able to hang with him, like fight him off in a hook for a while until he ended up having to bail and run. Yeah. But, I mean, that's the top guy in a hook. Like, I imagine Dadakayan, I would think, beats Corey in a hook left-handed. I would think, because Corey's pretty shoulder dependent and kind of inside hooky. And then Morozov still has his top roll, his insane top roll and stuff. So I think it's definitely Morozov has to be the heavy favorite leading into this. But we'll see what form of Corey shows up, how hard he's training. I haven't heard anything from him in a while or what he's been up to. So hopefully he's hitting it hard and prepping himself. Yeah,
we saw him at King of the Table before, right hand, I think, against Kurdecha, which he did well. He lost, but he definitely raised some eyebrows, so we'll be paying attention to that. 40 pounds, 18 kilograms. Does any other arm wrestler do this workout? Asks Eddie Bott. And it's Chafee with the most ghetto-rigged sledgehammer training I've ever seen.
That's a thick hammer, though. That thing was like 3 inches.
Yeah. This is interesting. So I actually asked him at East versus West if he still does sledgehammer training, and he said no. He said no, he's moved on to other things. So I assume this is an older video. But, I mean, I guess that's not really a sledgehammer, so maybe this is an exception. But he said he doesn't really do this stuff anymore. What do you think of sledgehammers, Derek? Part of your routine?
It used to be when I was newer in the sport for a couple of years. I did some pretty solid sledgehammer work consistently, but I haven't touched them in a long time, to be honest. So I don't do this. And even when I was doing sledgehammers, I didn't do these ones. I did it for my riser and stuff and sinking.
Yeah.
I didn't do for pronation. But I mean, to each his own. Dave, is a successful arm wrestler. I know he's on a bit of a losing streak, but overall he's a successful arm wrestler and undeniably one of the strongest guys in North America, if not the strongest guy in North America on an arm wrestling table. So.
Yeah. So just the convenience of having a tool that Dave Chafee and a 12-year-old can both pick up a sledgehammer and make it a good workout because of the leverages. So that's convenient. Next up, we have Sandro Gramashvili saying Paul Lynn is a real sportsman. How good was that match? And how cool of Zurab to want to redo that match after he got that controversial pin. I just thought, he confused me. He says, I've talked to Zurab's sportsmanship. Now rewatching Paul versus Sasha. Paul is always smiling ear to ear, like dude loses third round and is the first to congratulate Sasha, and not as a formality, but you can see he really is happy for him. I have nothing but huge respect for Paul Lynn. P.S. Paul versus Sasha rematch would be nice. I know the match he's talking about. He loses, and despite being extremely intense, immediately grabs Sasha and says, hey, great job, smiles, and I just think on and off the table, Paul is just a role model in terms of being a competitor, talking a little bit of trash, but then also being respectful.
Super nice dude. I've been talking to him a lot. Paul's actually helping oversee my current prep for my match. So we've been on the phone a lot, watching videos and things like that. And I even offered, I was like, hey, man, I want a lot of your time. You're killing it. You're crushing it. And you keep getting better and better every match. I'd love to, hop on your program and stuff and try something new. And I was like, I'll pay you. And he's like, dude, don't pay me. He's like, I don't need any of that. He's like, we'll do this, 100%. And so, we went video chatted for like an hour and a half. Oh, yeah, anybody that's watching my channel, I know I was live. That was actually me and Paul talking. I just used StreamYard here so we could watch the same screen together. So that's why I didn't actually go live. Sorry, guys. A bunch of people in the chat room like, Derek, it's not on. We can't see the video. It was me and Paul talking for like an hour and a half about videos.
Yeah. So, sweet. Yeah. Paul and like I was saying earlier, Zurab too. With him and Rob, when he won the entire thing, third win, and says, no, I want to redo it because it was somewhat controversial. So mad respect for both Paul and Zurab there.
Yeah, Zurab,
we have Min Hale.
My girlfriend. All right, Zurab.
There you go.
All right.
Is there a story there we should know about?
Yeah, man. When I was commentating, he didn't know Bridget was my girlfriend, but he approached her and was like, using a translator app, started, hey, you're like very beautiful. Who are you here to see? Like all this stuff to Bridget. Yeah. And she told me that she was my girlfriend, and he backed up. But still.
That's a riot. Hitting on a girl with a translator app. Zurab, you dog, dude. Oh my God, that's funny as hell. Well, that's so funny. I didn't know that. That's hysterical. All right, we have Min Hale here sharing some training footage, saying he's training to become unhookable. And he's looking good. He's looking big too, man. He's been posting on the Reddit for years now, and it's been fun to follow his journey. Looking big, looking strong. Looks like he has a strap around the thumb, which I like.
Yeah, he Min Hale. So for a while, I did online coaching for a while, and I had people. And Min Hale was one of my students for a while, and so I not hands-on, but he's in Vietnam. We talked every day, like for like hours. I mean, I've talked to Min Hale more than I've talked to anybody on Reddit, and so I'd oversee his training, and he is all in. Like he's been all in. This guy's in the gym every single day, never skipping anything. Like he has been super dedicated, and his results have been showing. His name's Ha. He's going to be something super special, and due to his work ethic more than anything. He's not the most gifted genetic dude with the biggest hands and stuff, but he will work his butt off. And I think in that same gym, he would show me videos, and I was critiquing all his lifts and stuff for a long time. He's going to be one of the top guys in Vietnam. He already is on the way up right now.
Yeah, Vietnam actually has a decent scene, man. I've seen some footage there. They have a lot of guys. Sports blowing up there. My buddy actually went on a tour through Vietnam, and he said like the random gyms he would go in just would have an arm wrestling table. Mm-hmm. So it's always funny to see that. India too. Have you seen that Propanja League going on in India? It's like the most highly produced, nicest league I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen the video. I mean, I haven't done too much homework on it, but yeah, I've seen some clips and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's all I've seen too. But it's just so cool to see all these promotions sprouting up. All right, we've got to get to the more. We'll get to it right now. 1 rep, 2 rep asks opinions, eventually including a 140 kilogram, 300 pound weight class like in powerlifting. And I don't think we should focus too much on the 140 kilograms specifically, but do we need another weight class? Are the big boys too big? Is 242 too low of a cutoff? Do we need a lower weight class? Should we make 145 a standard class again?
I'm getting more and more guys, small guys on my team. I have like 2 or 3 120-pound dudes on my team right now. And it sucks because the smallest you'll find out here, you barely find a 154 class. Most of the time it's 175 or 165 over here. So I always feel bad for them. But there's not a ton of guys that size that arm wrestle at the same time to make us have a class that size. In terms of the super heavyweight one, I think they should have a weight cap. Like I've made videos on this. I do think whatever we agree on, I do think we should keep in mind that it is a strength sport. So people say, UFC has a 250-pound weight cap, but that's not a strength sport. So ours is a strength sport / combat sport. So keeping that in mind, but I do think that we should have a weight cap. I'm not a fan of just sitting back and watching to see who can take the craziest amount of gear and get the biggest, freakiest dude until he dies for my entertainment. You know what I mean?
What is the weight cap in your opinion?
I think over 3 for sure. How far over 3, I'm not sure. But that's just an idea. I don't think forcing us to go down to like 250. I think that's going to take away a lot of the super heavyweight and having big, strong guys. But I also don't think you need to be at 400 pounds with crazy stuff happening in your blood. So I don't know. It could be 300 pounds. It could be 310, 350, 320, 315.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I hesitate to say, like, let's say you're an overweight large person, like you're a Cleve Dean before you got into arm wrestling, and it's like you can't do it. You're too big. So maybe there's a carve out for that's only the pro leagues, but I do see where you're getting at. I just hesitate to make any barriers to competing, at least at the lower levels. So Engen bumped it up, right? So it's 253 at East versus West. Typically, you think of heavyweights as 242 to down to 221, but now it's 253 at East versus West. So it is creeping up, and Keystone States is coming up. Paul Lynn ups run that, and they have so it's 220 to 242, and then they have a 243 to 265 class, which is kind of what this guy's alluding to, and I'm very interested to see how that class fills up.
What's it called?
What's that?
It's not super heavy. It's not heavy. It's like,
pretty heavy, pretty super heavy.
Cool heavyweights?
Yeah, right.
Between super and nothing.
Right. Great weight. That's interesting. Because it is a cliff, right? After you fall off, like if you're 243, all of a sudden you're pulling with guys, 100 pounds heavier than you. So it is a pretty steep cliff if you are not making that heavyweight class. So,
right.
Yeah, interesting thought. Why do arm wrestlers do this? Asks Jackster236. I'm pretty much clueless about arm wrestling and was just watching a few videos. In one of them, they explained to others not to turn your body away from the table as you risk your arm breaking. My question is, if this is so, why do I see it in competitions? And Derek, I thought you gave an excellent explanation when you were with Brian Shaw about the arm break position. Do you want to sum that up, or?
Yeah, Ryan, I'll teach you how to not break your arm, man. Don't worry. If you just needed this from me, I got you, man. You can just
man. I'm worried.
So in terms of arm breaks, first off, you see in competitions because most pros are getting in bad positions, but they understand the bad positions they're getting in. That's why you tend to see it in more pro classes and things like that. In an amateur class, the referees should be stopping it and not letting people get in questionable spots. But yes, you'll see Devin and Gennady and these guys getting in wild spots because they understand the pressures. They know when they're going to a spot they haven't been and when it's starting to hit red line and danger zone. But also their arms are more built for it in terms of the bone density. On arm wrestler, I can't remember who it was right now, broke their arm and they had the density scanned, and it was like they said that the bone density in their arm was wildly dense compared to normal people's arms, just from prying on the bones for years. So pro arm wrestlers are getting those spots a lot more because they understand what they're getting in. It's more controlled and they know their limits. But in terms of not breaking an arm, basically what happens is your arm breaks right here. About 95% of arm breaks I have in arm wrestling are right here in the middle of your humerus bone. Your arm wrestling, somebody you can't move. They represent a wall, something that's immovable. You're trying to move it and you can't. So something in your mind, pride usually, tells you to start leaning forward with the shoulder. So the top part of my humerus is twisting this way, but this hand is staying still. So the bottom part of my humerus is staying still. So basically you twist until this part snaps in half. shoulder goes forward, boom, and this part breaks. Really easy to break your arm, really easy to not break your arm, right? Really, to not break your arm, I've taught my team 3 rules, and in 10 years, we've never had an arm break. And I have a massive team. Basically, rule number 1 is keep your elbow as close to inside your belly button as possible. We're trying to stay inside our shoulders, right? So we want to keep our arm inside this line of our shoulders. Keep your face connected to your hand. When I say connected to your hand, people say look at your hand. I don't like that. I don't like look at your hand because I can look at my hand while it's over here. I can still see it. I like connected to my hand, meaning I lose with it, I win with it. And then rule number 3 is generally pull backwards. Almost every arm wrestling move has a large component of backwards. And if you're new, it should be a higher component of backwards than normal. So even a press, you're pulling backwards. You should be internally rotating. As you press, top rolling, hooking, everything should be dragging back. More backwards means less sideways. More sideways means potentially breaking your arm, right? So that's for the new guys. But as you get into the sport, you develop your own style. It will change. You'll get more dangerous. You'll get in crazier positions, but you'll be doing it slowly and understanding the pressures. Hopefully, that's why it's so rare to see an arm break in the pro class nowadays. It's super rare.
Yeah, but it does happen. We actually had 2 at the USAF Nationals. Pretty rough because people push the limits. As you're a pro, to answer this question, why some pros do it. I mean, obviously conditioning, bones get thicker, stronger, tendons get stronger, everything. And your body, your limits because you've been training so much. So you can go closer to that line. But people still cross it, man. People still cross it. Like I said, we had 2 breaks at the USAF Nationals. So there you go. And we'll move on to our next one here, which is Strange Breakfast 1364 says, I'm having my first ever arm wrestling competition tomorrow and my first time using an arm wrestling table. Any advice? So first of all, you got to think, what is your goal here? What is the goal? And it shouldn't be to win. It should not be to win. It should be to get better at arm wrestling and use this as an opportunity to get better at arm wrestling. I see so many people, they go to their first tournaments and they go 0-2, and then they're just like depressed. Some of them quit. They are distraught. And that happens when your expectations are here and the results are here. So when it's your first tournament, you should go in with 0 expectations other than, cool, I want to get used to getting starts. I want to meet some people. I want to, in your case, find someone to train with. I generally wouldn't recommend going to a tournament if you haven't even been on a table. You probably don't know about the arm wrestling break position like Derek just explained. You probably don't know much about technique or anything. And a lot of people don't realize just what goes into being a good arm wrestler. So my advice would be go there saying my only goal today is to learn. I will probably go 0-2, which you probably will, but can I leave there a better arm wrestler than I walked in? And can I meet some people and find a club to train with? So that would be my advice to him. He says, I have small and short arms if it's important to know. Not really. If it's your first tournament, don't worry about your, min-maxing and taking advantage of your genetic gifts or drawbacks. Just go have a good time. But Derek, what do you tell your new guys before a tournament?
I am completely of the opposite opinion than you.
Wow.
Right? We are on the other side on this one.
This is rare.
My first time ever on arm wrestling table was at a tournament. I competed first thing. I think that obviously the most important thing is safety. I think that and that's all I tell my guys when they ask when I should do my first tournament, I say as soon as you understand safety, compete, in my opinion. I don't care if it takes you 1 practice. You got it? Cool. See you next week at a tournament. The best part to me, the best part about arm wrestling, probably the best part, is being on stage and competing. Having someone scream in front of your face, having people cheer for you, the pressure, the nerves, all those things, and being on that stage, whether you win or lose, that's such a crazy moment. That I think competing early really shows you what to work for, right? Right away, I knew, I want to go back on that stage. I want to win. Like that, it bit me like a bug. So I was like, no one's ever screaming in my face like that again. Like, I can't wait to go train. It inspired me heavily. And then I went to my first practice like soon after that. So for me, I always find it weird when I know guys that have trained for like years and not competed. I've had guys on my team train for like up to like 2 years without competing. I'm not ready. I don't think I can win my class yet. But yeah, I was like, you haven't even done a tournament. Like, you have no idea. And tournament experience is so valuable. It's the hardest thing to come by because they're more rare than practice. And it's so unbelievably valuable that I tell all people on my team, enter your class as soon as you understand safety. I say enter your class, and money allowing, enter every class you can enter, right? Honestly, because you're most likely, like you said, you're most likely not going to win a lot, right? You're probably going to go and whatever. But if we're there just for experience, then get as much experience as you can. Soak up everything you can out of that tournament. Get all the after pulling in, ask all the questions, get to know all the people. And if you can afford it, do multiple classes. When you said don't try to win or don't make that your focus, I wouldn't set the expectation of winning, but I would try to win. Try. That's the fun part to me, is competing, right? It is the actual competition part itself, and fighting for a win or for a loss. If you can do it safely, once again, then yeah, I would say go on, go out. When you get that one win, your first win ever in a tournament, you might go to 6 tournaments where you get your first win, but when you do, it's awesome, right? So I think go in there, have fun, be safe, and do your best and have fun. But and keep an open mind. But yeah, if you're such a prideful person that you can't handle losing and it drives you out of the sport, man, this isn't for you, because you're gonna lose a lot. To be honest, I mean, you got to be able to move with things. You're gonna get your butt kicked, and you're gonna kick butt, and it's gonna happen both ways, as long as you stay with it. And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of competing, having new guys compete as soon as they can understand safety. But yeah, I mean, I tell all my guys right away. And that's what I was talking to Leroy Walker about. He's been almost 2 years. All the social media following him, such a big, strong dude. He started competing right away, which is super impressive for someone who has that amount of pressure on them to immediately start being like, all right, I'm down to do amateur class. I'm down to get my butt kicked. Like, I'm down to go at it and figure it out. And I was talking about that yesterday. It's people are in different situations. They put different pressures on themselves in terms of competition. I say, go at it, man. Start getting. I knew I was gonna be bad at this. I knew right away. I'm getting this sport. I'm gonna suck. I'm new. I'm gonna suck. I'm gonna have to learn how to get good. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to get my butt kicked so many times before I get good. Let's start getting those losses out of the way. Let's start putting my elbow on the table and just get my butt whooped a bunch so I can keep learning. That's why I'd enter pro class and I'd just lose, but I would learn. Oh, that pro covered my thumb, or that pro went first, or that pro's pressure was this. All right, I'll see you next month or 2 months in the next tournament, over and over and over and over again. That's for me.
Yeah, so I don't think we disagree as much as you think, because of the context of this post. So he said, I'm having my first ever arm wrestling competition tomorrow and my first time using an arm wrestling table. And you said, first thing is you have to be safe. And presumably if this is their first time on an arm wrestling table, they don't know what that even means. So I for myself, my first tournament was about a month after joining a club, and I won it. So I'm not afraid of competing early, and I would advise people to do it, like you said, once they're safe. But if this guy has never even used an arm wrestling table before, I'm picturing some guy who's just arm wrestled with his buddies a few times, having no idea of what a top roll is or a hook or anything, and just plugged in arm wrestling in Reddit and found this and made this post. And to that individual, I mean, they can get the same exact experience by just going to their first practice. In fact, they can get more experience going to their first practice, doing some ready goes and learning how not to break their arm, than I think they can at a tournament. So I do agree that get on a tournament as soon as you can safely pull. I just don't know that this guy can safely pull if they've never used an arm wrestling table.
They do the safety speech before the event, man. They break.
Oh, listens to that shit. You're putting your pre-workout in. You've got your pump-up jams going on. Listens to that.
That's what they gotta get that pride out of their head. Get the safety speech, and then keep that in mind and do your best. But don't get prideful and start driving sideways. That's how you break your arm down.
Yeah, it's just as soon as that go happens and you feel the force, for a lot of people, they just black out and send it. So, well, they should listen to this podcast, because you just did a great piece on how to be safe. So there you go, Strange Breakfast. This was 10 days ago, so hope it worked out for you. In fact, let's let's see if he did a follow-up post, dude. Let's see.
A picture of him with a broken arm. I would suck. That would be horrible.
All right, posts. No, this was his last post, so he's probably dead now. Thanks, Derek. Great advice.
He's probably dead now.
He's most likely. I mean, 10 days without Reddit, unheard of. All right, next post is by Successor of Cool, and he says, are wrist curls and reverse wrist curls worth it or not? Hello, I just want to ask you guys if wrist curls and reverse wrist curls are worth it for muscle building and grip strength. One of the reasons I want to know is because I want to win more in arm wrestling. And the reason I want to know is because I see a lot of people saying wrist curls aren't that effective. What do you guys say? Is it good for strength and muscle gain? Yes, it is good for strength and muscle gain. Basically, anything that makes your wrist stronger is going to be good for arm wrestling. Reverse curls as well. I agree. RVJ released a good video about this. It was titled like Yin and Yang. So for every flexor, you also want to train the extensor, right? And that's true of everything, right? You don't want extremely strong quads, which, are knee extensors, with no hamstring, which is your flexor of the knee joint, because those imbalances are arguably worse than just being weaker in the first place in terms of injury prevention. So yeah, wrist curls, do them. Reverse wrist curls, do them. And there's my sense. Don't tell me you disagree, Derek. I can't take.
Don't do any wrist work. Don't do any cupping or wrist curls or anything like that.
I knew it.
Will it. Just will it so. And somehow without the muscles in your wrist in any direction, it's just going to be rock solid. Your wrist is going to hold up.
That's how it works.
And you're going to win all your arm wrestling matches. Of course you got to do wrist curls, man. I mean, this is important in arm wrestling. You have to get this stronger. This is a wrist curling motion. There's a million different ways to do it, but yes, this is wrist curling. Now, your body wants balance. The more you build this up, like Ryan said, the more you got to build up the extensors in the back. Same thing with your shoulders, same thing with your bicep, tricep, same thing with all these. Your body wants balance. So if you hit a plateau in one muscle, working the opposite muscle can help build up the original one, right? Because your body wants to be balanced. So yes, extension and wrist flexion are important, and especially wrist flexion is insane. It might be like maybe the most important muscle in arm wrestling in strength to develop, is depending on who you ask, right? Wrist flexion, but it's definitely top 3 no matter who you ask, right? Wrist flexion is, yeah, of course.
Yes. Oh, successor of cool, you sweet summer child. So, all right, moving on. Is this a good lift for a beginner? Let him know, Derek. Is this a good lift, or should he be ashamed of himself? You ready? He's got 70 pounds here. Was that like 30 kilos?
His elbow's on the top of the pad. Means he's levering off his elbow. I mean, it's not a bad lift. It's not a bad idea. It's not going to make you worse at arm wrestling.
There you go. It's not bad. We can't say it's good. Drake's not.
Is there other ways to challenge your arm more, to make it more difficult, to hit the muscles and isolate the muscles better? Yes. But is this a bad lift? No. Is it the most efficient? No. So it's somewhere in the middle, I guess. But yeah, with your elbow on the top of the pad like that, it's more levering off your elbow, so it's not as strict on the muscles, not really isolating the muscles as if your arm was forward on the preacher bench. But yeah, man, that's cool. You can do that and other stuff to get strong.
Yeah, so Derek's talking about his elbows on like right at the top there. So when he starts going down, a lot of that weight is being supported by his elbow, right? It's why a table curl, you can do way more out of a bicep curl on a table curl than you can a strict curl, because all that force is going into your elbow on a strict curl. Right here, can you see that gap between his index finger and the weight? Would you recommend pushing that up, like making them connect, so you're training more of that riser? Or when you do something like this, a hammer curl, are you grabbing in the center of the shaft?
I'm more it ends up at the top of the motion where my knuckles are against the weight. Yeah. But I train my riser separately. For me, everything is trained on its own. So I'll train riser separately. So when I'm doing hammer curls, I'm not focused on my riser. Just generally, I feel like my hand slides up the dumbbell as I do curls. But I'm not purposely doing that, because I'll go do riser work later in a different spot.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, next up, how effective are resistance bands? It says everyone can't afford a pulley system, and handles are also not very cheap. But he does have access to bands. What do you think about bands? I think if you have nothing else, yes, like any resistance, any force is how you build muscle, right? Your arm's not going to be like, oh, wait, this is a band, not a dumbbell. I'm not going to adapt to this force. It's just force. It's your muscles having to contract against something, trying to pull it the other way. So it will help. And I do think bands have a place, because building muscle is a survival function. It's your body not wanting to die effectively. And so it adapts so that it can get through this stress easier. And I think bands have a place in that, because they have ascending tension, right? The more you move that band, the harder it's going to get, which is different than if you're using a cable pulley or something like that, which is going to have consistent tension throughout. So I would actually advise throwing in some band work. They're also very unstable depending on the exercise you're doing, which can help build stabilizing tissue. I don't think they're as good for building that top end strength, but I do think there's a place for them. I think it helps. I think it's good to have that ascending tension just to keep your body guessing, and also for stability reasons. Derek?
I think they suck. I think no, I'm just kidding. No, bands are cool, man. I think it's got to really understand what you're using them for, in my opinion. I think they're great for speed work. They're great for hitting into something. It's like a soft catch. I think that if you're in a pinch and you need some resistance, cool. I think they're very hard to track your progress. I think that with the ascending pressure, that you're getting stronger in certain spots and not necessarily hitting max effort in other spots. Say I'm starting my motion center table, lightest pressure, and then the heavier pressure near the end. But what if I wanted to be stronger center table specifically, where there was light tension? It's really hard to track, unless you're measuring the actual inch, like how far you went back to the inch to know how you progress in your lifts. It's harder to track your progress with those. But like I said, in a pinch, yes, if you can't find anything else, cool. It's resistance is resistance. But just keep in mind those things about the ascending tension and how that's good and bad, or can be, and then also and then how you're going to track your progress with that.
Yeah, great point about not knowing how much weight there is. Also, a lot of bands, depending on their quality, are going to get weaker as they get older and you use them more. So you might be thinking you're making crazy gains, but the band just might not be as tense as it used to be. So keep that in mind. Get a crane scale if you must.
There you go.
So you think Devin should hit triceps, Derek? Is he ignoring the triceps? Would that have helped him? Or would they be useless?
It's not going to hurt him. It could be one of those things where I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But Devin's so sport specific right now with his move. For him to start brand new in a brand new motion, not brand new, but it's been years. How much energy is he going to put into that? How much energy is he going to put into developing a new pressure? And how much would that take away from him just trying to reinforce his other moves? So that's what you have to think in terms of how much energy he has for these things. Would triceps help? Sure. Would it help a ton? I don't know. And was it worth his time? I don't know. But I mean, it's not going to hurt him, I guess. But I don't know if I was writing out Devin's program right now, if I'd be like, heavy tricep work, that's what you need. I don't know if that's what he needs specifically.
Yeah, well, we definitely saw him dive into that press off the start a couple times. So if only for stability and elbow health, like we talked earlier, if you're training a ton of your flexors of a joint, you want to train your extensors as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think he should, especially if he's going to be pressing and just for general joint health. Plus it'll make him look better in a t-shirt, right? Have you seen his triceps, dude? It's pathetic. Come on, Devin.
Pathetic.
Yeah, he always complains about his arms have been stuck at like 18 inches. Well, there's your problem, dude.
It's all bicep. It's literally an 18-inch bicep. It's not an arm. There's no tricep or bone. It's just
yep. And Carolyn killing it tonight. Carolyn Looms with the super chat saying, holler at our boy Paul Lynn, trainer extraordinaire. Yeah, we talked about Paul earlier. He's just the coolest dude. He knows arm wrestling inside and out. He goes on everyone's channel all the time. Knows all the guys locally. He puts on tournaments. He's a super elite puller. He's a fucking badass, pardon my language. He's entertaining. Yeah, excuse me. And then also he's a great competitor in defeat. He's just like the all-around package. And hanging out with him at Istanbul, they say like never meet your heroes. They're not what you think, but not for Paul. He's just as cool in real life as he is on video. So yeah, can't say enough things about him. But I know you feel the same, Derek. So yeah, trainer Paul. So he's going to be the coach of Team West, is my understanding, which he kind of was at East versus West 7. Do you have any more info on that? I'm going to release that post on Facebook saying that Paul Lynn will be the trainer for Team West at East versus West 8.
I mean, like I saw Paul hanging out with the guys, with Brandon, with Doug, and with RVJ a lot. They looked like they were like a little squad. You know what I mean? Like them four specifically. Yeah. They all had like the little thing, the KT tape on their arms and stuff like that. And, Paul is great. Paul could be Captain America of Team America. You know what I mean? By all means. Not that he's the strongest dude on all the teams or anything like that, or the most experienced, but Paul cares a lot. He's training his butt off. He is a model athlete and citizen. And so it's somebody that everybody has respect for, right? That everybody on that team, on Team West, and anybody that meets Paul or sees him has a ton of respect for Paul. So I can't think of anybody else that he fills those shoes perfectly. To be someone that's gonna be on the stage in everybody's corner, apparently that's what he's gonna be doing on in the corner for everyone. And for Paul, just if they had a captain for Team West, I would vote for Paul. I would 100% vote for Paul. I don't think Devin's gonna do that. I don't think Devin's gonna be following up with the guys and making all that happen. John's still worried about John trying to get stronger. So I think Paul fits those shoes perfectly. I think he's the best guy for the job. Oh, Ryan, you there? Oh, God. Did I lose Ryan? Ryan, you're frozen. Hello? Can you guys hear me still? Oh. Wait, did Ryan leave? Did he lag out? Uh-oh. Can you guys hear me? Wait. You guys? Hello? Wait, someone.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What happened?
Yeah, my internet crapped out, it looked like, but we're back.
Oh, man. Okay, they said they could hear me. All right, that was weird. I was like, I thought you left me, man. I wasn't prepared for this.
Yeah, no, you were monologuing real hard there. So I was like, you know what? I'll just let him have the spotlight here. I'll bow out. He's killing it right now. He's giving Paul Lynn props. All right, let's see if we can get back into business here. Yeah, look at that. Like we never left. So yeah, thank you, Carolyn, for supporting the show and the super chats and the membership. You're the best. Let's move on here. So yeah, Devin, train your triceps. Next up. Let's see. I wanted to do one. Here we go. So this is a user on the subreddit. sharing some training footage, or I guess a match footage. This is user Affectionate Ride 746, and he wants to know how he can win this. So he is the guy in the black, and he wants to know, how does he win? Let's help him out.
There's no
So we're in the
injury,
strap.
right? I can never watch these. I'm always scared someone's gonna break their arm.
Yeah, this one. If I didn't read the title, I'd assume that's where this is going. But no, there is no arm break. But he's clearly an amateur, which is fine. We were all there at one point. Oh God, don't do that, man. First, Jesus Christ. I already watched this video and I'm cringing. But yeah, if we can focus on the arms, not so much the body position. So right off the start, here's the first frame. His wrist is already back. So we didn't get to see the start, which is important because the setup, depending on how new you are, I'll let you know, matches can be won or lost literally in the setup. There have been times where my setup is just so good, we don't even have to arm wrestle. I just know I'm going to win, and it's completely just a blowout. I mean, you can make it 50% harder for yourself if you have a bad setup. So I wish we could have saw that. But the short answer is you are losing your wrist flexion, right? So you are going to, not shut off your opponent's brachialis muscle, right? If you can get your wrist flexion and turn your opponent palm up, that's going to shut off a lot of the muscles he can use. You're in a compromised position. You're turning away from your hand. But the big thing I'm seeing is that your wrist is just kicked back the whole time, which really limits your options here. Anything you see in particular, Derek?
Oh, I see so much. There's so much going on there. This kneeling down, freedom arm wrestling, just in the straps. How do you guys get no table, on your knees, all these other things wrong, but you have straps perfectly applied?
Yeah.
First off, that's random, right? You maybe check off the other things off the list first.
Let's get a GoFundMe going to get these guys a table.
Dude, this is such a, shit show in terms of like elbows sliding all over the place. Like you're cheating, he's laying down, he's leaving.
Look at his legs, dude. I didn't even see that.
Like this is just the worst. I mean, to even give, there's so many things. There's so million things. But yes, like Ryan said, your wrist is bent back.
The poor guy.
The leading cause of you losing, because you lose all leverage at that point. So I guess if I have to say one thing, then it's don't lose your wrist back like Ryan. But there's a million other things that are horrible about this. But we'll just say don't lose your wrist backwards. We'll stick with that one.
Yeah. Don't lose your wrist, and don't do a lot of, basically just start over. Just start from scratch, man. Just for your own sake, I'm telling you, you got in some really dangerous positions. I know you're new, so you might not understand, but start from scratch. Watch some Derek Smith videos, and we'll get you winning in no time. This was a funny post. So user DrunkenTravert made this meme. We of the West would like Kittergali Ongarbayev drafted to Team West, which is, I wanted to ask you, Derek, if you could draft one person over to help get some W's on the board for Team West, would it be Kittergali? Who's your one guy? We get one steal from Team East. Who is it?
Like, wouldn't everybody just pick like Levon? Or
I don't know.
But in terms of Vaughn, he's not having a lot of matches, right?
Exactly.
So we want to get numbers on the board. On the board. Who's winning consistently? I mean, Gennady's taking a lot of matches. Morzov's been winning a lot of matches. But Kittergali's awesome, and everybody loves him. So I'm down with the Ongarbayev choice. I mean, I would support that 100%.
That is the wrong answer. My man. The correct answer is David Samushia, who is killing it. He has the most hardware of all East versus West, pulls in multiple classes. He's the guy. So sorry, Mr. DrunkenTravert, you got the wrong pick. Although we'll take Kittergali. And now next up we have a post from Penguilioni Boy. I can't see. I put this in here because I'm not sure if he's trolling or not. So help me out here. Sweaty hands and arm wrestling. How do I arm wrestle when my hands are sweaty without access to chalk? I believe my hands are abnormally sweaty compared to most others, and at all times there is at least a little bit of perspiration on my hands, no matter what, even if I'm freezing cold. Actually, my hands are even sweaty right now as I'm typing this, and I'm cold. I have found that when arm wrestling, whenever I take my opponent's wrist through pronation, whenever I go to finish them off, my hands always slip off no matter what grip I use because of the moist hands. Any advice that could help? This poor guy has the sweatiest hands in North America. What do we do? What do we do for this guy, Derek?
I have a teammate like that. My best friend, his name's Lorenzo, and he has these sweatiest hands. He literally carries his own chalk bag with him at practice, not the ones we all use. And one, if you don't have access to chalk, which I don't understand that. I mean, because it's 10 cents for a brick of chalk. Then you're going to be in the straps a lot, my friend. If you're a top roller with sweaty hands, that's just the reality of it. I mean, you're just going to keep slipping a ton. So you could try squeezing tighter. You could try hooking. Hooking, if you're probably going to be able to be in matches a lot more with sweaty hands. But if you're a top roller and you have sweaty hands, you're going to be in the straps a lot. So you might as well just carry around a strap with you. Go buy a belt and make it to a strap or something like that, and that's where you're going to be a lot.
Yeah. Get yourself an arm belt strap.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Lion straps.
Yeah, Lion straps. Discount code AW Derek.
Yeah, there you go. Lion straps. All right, we get running low on time here. Let's see if we can pick a good one. Let's see. Can you train forearms every day? How often can you train it? Is training your forearms every day good? I know muscles need time to rest, but I've seen some saying you can train forearms every day since they recover, quote unquote, faster. If it is not good, how often should I train forearms? I only plan to do dumbbell wrist curl and reverse dumbbell wrist curl as of now. So I need more information. How many dumbbell wrist curls? How many reverse dumbbell? Are you going until you're on the floor about to pass out? Are you doing a few sets here and there between your homework at school? What do you do for work? Are you a bricklayer during the day and you don't really get to recover? Or are you an accountant? My answer to this is it depends, and you really got to listen to your body on this one. It depends on your age, right? It depends on your genetics, your ability to recover. There's a lot more information needed. So the most general answer I can give you is feel it out, right? Are you just way weaker day 2 or day 3? Then maybe your body's telling you, hey, we need more time to recover, and track it. If you're getting stronger, don't fix what ain't broken, right? So track your lifts. Are you progressing? And then experiment. Maybe you do, 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. Then try 3 days on, 1 day off for a few weeks and see if that increases your rate of progression. If not, cut it back. Try 1 day on, 1 day off. And because the best evidence is empirical evidence. So if you can prove that you're making more gains doing it way X instead of way Y, go with way X. That's my take. Derek?
I've heard that, and I've mentioned that to people, but I haven't really looked into the science of it. They say your forearms are like your abs or like your calves. There's something that's being used so often in every aspect of life that it recovers differently. With that being said, I did train my forearms every single day for a long time. I didn't see a lot of gains. Once I started training under Engen, I got down to hitting my cupping. If I'm in the gym every day of the week properly, I will do cupping 3 times a week and then practice. That's where I'm at now, and that's where I've seen the most gains for wrist flexion and cupping, just in personal experience. When I've done them once a week, I didn't like the progress or the rate of progress. I think I could do more. But yeah, it also depends on a million other factors, how fast you're healing, what your daily life is like, and things like that. But yeah, for me, 3 times a week is perfect for each individual one.
There you go. All right. How do I train to press harder? Asks Sig Hale. Hey, so I'm very new to arm wrestling and I really want to improve. One issue I'm having is that when I arm wrestle, even if I'm stronger than the other person, I can't press them very well. It always ends up in me just holding them in the neutral position, or they end up pressing me a little bit and I hold them until they give out. I see lots of arm wrestling matches where someone can press the other really hard and sometimes will press them in bursts to tire them out. How do I learn how to do this, or what exercises can I do to get better at it? Because honestly, I'm struggling to understand how anyone can do it. Derek, any thoughts to share? You want me to go? What's up?
You're more the presser than I was.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, man. When I first started pressing, I thought my elbow was going to freaking explode and just I'll never be able to lift anything up again for the rest of my life. It hurt so bad. It was so uncomfortable. I was like, this is insane. I had the same thought as you. I'm like, who can do this? How does Jerry do this? In fact, I live near Jerry and train with him. So that's why I was like, I want to learn to do that. I want to learn to be like Jerry. And oh my goodness, was it uncomfortable. And what I did at practice was I found someone who was super cool and I'm friends with, and we trained together. And I was like, hey, listen, can I just throw a press on you, and just work a little bit. Just don't pull me to the other side of the table. He's like, yeah, of course. And it was that practice where I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. I can't do this. But the next practice, I did it again with him, and it was a little bit better. It didn't hurt as bad. And then again, third practice, all of a sudden I could really kind of send it, maybe go 75% effort before that kind of Golgi tendon pain started kicking in and I had to stop. And then it got better and better and better. So my advice to you, pressing is risky if you're new because of the counterparty risk here. If your opponent has a big ego and they want to try to hit you out of your press and pull you across the table, you're in a very vulnerable position and you can get into break arm position very quickly. So the best way to train your press is to do it on the table, in my opinion, right? You want to emulate arm wrestling as close as you can. You can force it to do tricep extensions and things like that in the gym, but it's not going to be as good as actually pressing someone. So find someone you trust and is willing to let you work for maybe 5 minutes the first time, whatever, and then get stronger and stronger and stronger. As for exercises, I'll steal Todd Hutchings' line here and say do JM presses. JM presses. Put that into YouTube. The guy himself, the guy who came up with it, has a tutorial on how to do it. It's a great way to condition your elbows and your tendons there, because that's a lot of it, right? It's not just how strong is your tricep or your chest. It's how much your tendons can handle in a pretty unnatural position. So that's how I did it. And now I can press pretty much as hard as I want to. In fact, yes, as hard as I want to. It's just a strength issue now. It's no longer a how do people do this? This feels weird issue.
Did you start pressing right away, like your first tournament?
No, I was hooking my first tournament, and then as I started expanding my wings in arm wrestling, I decided to try to learn how to press, because that's another thing. I think it's good to learn how to do everything early on. Don't commit yourself to one style. You never know what's going to come natural to you or be good at. I hate when people are like, "Oh, my hand is 0.7% smaller than the average person." Just do it all. Try it all. See what you like. See what you enjoy the most. It's not going to make as big a difference as you think in the non-elite level.
Right.
So, there's my take. Derek, what do you do for pressing? Besides, you have a monster.
I do a lot of pressing. Yeah, it's just strengthening your inner elbow. Obviously, that transition is really important on your inner elbow pressure, but I feel like pressing and enabling getting into a press and transition into a press is a lot of muscle memory. I feel like it's something that you really just need to get comfortable with that transition, comfortable about exactly where are the pressures going to be in each inch of this motion of me getting my shoulder behind it, and be comfortable applying those pressures so you're not shocked by it. So even if you're going 10% with your homie, maybe get down to the top roll and then learn how to stand up slowly and go through with it without him trying to break your arm or pressing from the go, things like that. I think it's muscle memory. There's certain things in arm wrestling that I don't think it's necessarily these huge physical gains you have to make. I feel like when you develop the confidence, the muscle memory of how to do it, that's like 90% of the battle. So yes, things like bench pressing and triceps and things will help, of course, and shoulder workouts. But I feel like the biggest hurdle is just getting used to pressing, just getting used to the motion and building up the inner elbow. So just do it safely at first and then work into heavier pressures, I would say.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. So we are right at about 7 o'clock. Aussie Arm Wrestler is going to be going live after this. Derek's got the AW Switch, guys, if you want to check out some gear here.
Oh, thanks, man.
Of course, man. We've got all kinds of cool stuff. So this directly goes to supporting Derek and all of his stuff.
We got to get you a shirt. Bridget, we got to make Ryan a shirt. Or like a sticker, at least a sticker.
Yep. There you go. So
we'll sell it on the site.
You know who your biggest salesman is Engen. I see him wearing Alpha Empire stuff all the time. If
we keep him hooked up. We keep him hooked up with shirts and things like that.
You should be. And then if you guys want to check out some of my gear as well, armwrestles.com. We got clothes, supplements, and a bunch of tools there, including liquid chalk, which that guy from the post earlier needs. We got grip chalk on sale. So check those out if you guys want some gear, and head over to Aussie Arm Wrestler next. Tell them we sent you as well. Tell them the Pulse is bringing you guys over. Thank you all for tuning in. It's good to be back. We missed you, and we will be back on a regular schedule now with more guests, more fun. And next week is on Derek Smith's channel.
Yes. We'll be there Monday. We'll get a guest this week. Oh, Ryan froze again. Look at that. Look at that beautiful face he has right there, though. Do you guys see that? Am I the only one seeing this? Because he's looking like.
I heard all of that, Derek. I wasn't even there to defend myself when you're talking trash. What a co-host. You should be trying to cover the screen for me, man. Look out for your.
No, look at him. Look away. Yeah, guys. So next Monday we have it on my channel. Maybe we'll try to line up a guest for this one. We'll thumb through the old Rolodex and try to find someone. And then Wednesday I'll be doing my live stream. Like I said, I have a big match coming up. I'll get into that. It'll be fielding all the questions about that, the plan for it, all the things regarding that match we'll talk about on Wednesday. And yeah, man, it's great to be back here and doing the Pulse here with my buddy Ryan, the East vs. West media guy who's up. You guys don't understand how much of a beast this guy was at Turkey. Like, talk about an overworked, like this dude was running ragged getting films for everybody. So I hope you guys really appreciated all the footage you put out there on the East vs. West channel. That was all Ryan, and he was filming everything in the world.
Dude, I tried to do the math. I think I averaged 4.5 hours of sleep a night, but I need a match. Like, I don't know if you have a 242-pound guy over there for me to get a match, because I'm falling into the media guy pigeonhole. People don't realize I've trained my ass off for arm wrestling too. So let me know, Derek, if you have someone in mind for a super match.
You want to come out? You want me to find you someone? You want to pull Mega Mike or what, bro? What do you?
Ooh. Well, I don't want to embarrass him. Isn't he like your star? That'd be
wait. Right-handed? You think you're embarrassed, Mike? He
loves. Dude, I train with Jerry. I train with RBJ, Tim Bresnan. All of that power is right in here, Derek. I don't think you understand.
Hey, I will set that up. You can fly here. You and your lady come out here. We'll hang out with me and Bridget, and then I'll set you up a match. It'll be great.
I would love to. One thing people don't realize is while I'm holding the camera, I actually put extra weights inside the camera. So I'm doing riser training as I'm running around. But anyway, guys, yeah, head over to Aussie Arm Wrestlers channel. Tell them we sent you. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Pulse is back, baby. We'll see you Monday, 6 p.m., Derek Smith's channel.
All right, guys.